they weren't going to stay at home. So the Battle of Orako at the back of Kihikihi there, the Tūhoe women fought with their men. They came across to join in. And they'd only picked that site. Rewi Maniapoto didn't want to fight there, but he picked that site because Tūhoe had selected it and they'd come a long way. So who was he to use irrelevant things like local knowledge? But the women, if they were menstruating, they weren't allowed to partake of the battle. And so the Tūhoe tradition was the women were eating poroporo to prevent themselves from menstruating. And, you know, if you look at the pharmaceutical industry, they're using the poroporo plant to manufacture birth control pills.
Are they?
Oh, it's been going on for a long time, 50 years even. They tried to set up in New Plymouth. The Crop and Food tried to actually establish a processing plant there, but for some reason, it's the easiest plant in the world to grow. They didn't manage to grow it. And it didn't think, but going back to our...
is it around here, poroporo?
I haven't seen any. I've been looking for some.
It's actually, you'll find it in disturbed sites where people live, right on the fringes where the soil's been turned over. So that doesn't, it could, yeah, I haven't seen any, but it could just be on the fringes here and there. Only where we went yesterday, is it? No, I haven't. But it's a very pretty plant too, I must say. But anyway, getting back to this one here, though, I think you can see the beautiful. Whoops! Did you damage any plants?
Leave a hole.
But you can see the beautiful design on it.
Broken hip.
And that's, you said that they used to say to me that the Horoweka carries its own whakairo, so, you know, its own carving, so no one is to dispute you for having it. But what we used to do is we'd find one a bit smaller than this, and in the Bay of Plenty you got a very thin layer of topsoil, and then straight into the pumice, and so the roots go down, hit the pumice and go off at right angles. So we'd rip it out by the roots, and then you get this lovely walking stick with a handle on the end.
Oh, right.
You haven't got a handle for her. But they're very strong. They get quite light, but they're very springy sort of timber, eh?
Olearia. Tree daisy. And what do they use that for? It's a beautiful leaf, isn't it? See, it's an alternating leaf. Alternating leaf. Hekitara?
Hekitara.
Is it used for anything? Is Hekitara used for anything? Or?
Not that I know of.
Okay. That one's got to be alternating pairs. Pale back of the leaf with a little black spot. It's going to be hangi. Or honey.
Hangi is a favourite of the deer, and so if we had a lot of deer running through here, you'd see much less of it. Obviously the goats have got other things that they rather have. Now hangi in Tūhoe is a very important medicinal plant. You can use it in place of kumaraho, for example, with chest things. I've never used it because I've never needed it, because I've always had kumaraho or karamu, things like that. They don't grow at those higher altitudes, like around Lake Waikaramoana. We haven't seen much karamu in the bush itself, but here you get a spot where it's there's lots and lots of light, lots of sunshine, but still a certain amount of protection, so the tree is really thriving. You know, so that's why in well-established bush it can be a difficult plant to find, even though it's, you know, it's so useful. So these are sort of these light holes is what you actually look for. And honestly, you don't often see a karamu as big as some of these ones here.
But I noticed they don't have the orange berries like that one back in...
Well, that's because it could be tall, dark and handsome and male. So it is
like Don, yeah.
dioecious, and you do find some trees that are completely without seed.
Remember that one.
The second thing is that all the plants around here may be male, and so you're not getting any pollination happening.
So all the coprosmas are either male or female, aren't
You may find that a female coprosma will produce some male flowers or vice versa. But generally speaking, they're regarded as dioecious. So in terms of growing stuff at home, you don't plant one karamu, you plant a little group of them.
Yeah.
That's why a hedge is really quite good. They can be, in Christchurch they used a lot as hedging plants. Now, this is a sort of place also you might find koromiko. You know, although it needs a lot more light than we've got here. You can see the bracken, some of these bracken are absolutely magnificent. Now, their job is to actually build up the soil to enable things like totara and rimu and that to finally come in. Got a bit of mingi in that. I see some big mahui. They'll keep growing. Mahui sometimes doesn't do as well in the strong light as some other trees. And hangi, got some nice kawa here. Again, that would indicate this is a fairly warm place. Kawa doesn't like frost. So, you know, it's a good something really attractive.
This is karamu again.
I'd be very surprised if you got frost in here.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? So they grow scruffily out of, you know, out of every...
But this probably was actually damaged when they're cutting the road, and they probably took a whole lot of fill down here, and then you actually got a lot of loose dirt and actually your karamus come up. You'd also sometimes find tutu growing in a place like this. Don't actually see it. Mamaku is an indication of a damaged grounds and that. You know, so if you see mamaku, see, my guess is that this area must have been cleared either by fire or for farming at some stage, and it is regenerating. I'm sure if you had to come back here 40 or 50 years ago, it would have been quite clear. And the mamaku's job is to quickly build up the soil, and then you'll find that those trees, you know, only live 40 or 50 years at the most, and often much less, that there's already other stuff growing underneath. Gorse is a medicinal plant, but not commonly used these days. So is broom. One of the plants that you use, I've got the recipe at home, for people that have actually addicted to alcohol or drugs. And you use the broom as part of the treatment for them. But with great care, it's one that is quite dangerous. Oh. It certainly has quite a positive effect.
Patient was cured, unfortunately he died.
I think it basically
the ultimate cure.
Reduces the urgency that addiction has.
What about on the plant beside you?
Oh, this is the type of orchid. This one is called Peka Awaka. There's two of them that both belong to the same orchid family, Peka Awaka and Ropeka. Now, Peka Awaka actually flowers in the summertime, and the Ropeka flowers in the autumn. You know, Ropeka has got absolutely beautiful perfume flowers. These ones, the flowers are beautiful, but much less spectacular. They sometimes refer to it as a bamboo orchid. And I must say, this is a particularly healthy bunch. Often they're quite straggly.
Peka awaka in the summer,
Yeah,
and the other one was a
row peka.
row peka.
Here in Automalis and here in Macedonta, I think is the technical name. You can often actually get them, you don't try and grow them, but when a big tree falls over and you see some of the orchids growing on the branches, you just take it and hang it up. I've got a couple of home and hanging baskets and they flower every year. Oh, no, that's ordinary fofo paku. But because it's growing in reduced light, the leaves are much bigger.
Oh, okay.
Some people call it puaho. You may see the puaho name around here a bit more than fofo paku. Some North Auckland people call it parapara. It is used a lot by people, again in place of kumaraho. I've not found it to be as good as lots of other things. Makawe.
Is that it?
Yep. And it belongs to the same family as a pickle, so it belongs to that Asplenium family. And that often crosses with the pickle. So the Aspleniums actually do crossbreed a little bit. And you can tell it's a fern because on the back you'll see the spores.
Yep.
Yeah, little brown spores on it. And often you can tell the ferns apart by the shape of the spores. So if you've got a fern, you turn it over and see if you've got spores on it. But lots and lots of heketara. So it means it's a relatively dry site. Must be quite beautiful when it's all flowering.
What's that?
Yeah, the thing to look out for as you come down, I mean these heketara again are temporary sort of plants, to look for little remus and tōtara and mero and tāne kaha, rewa, they're going to be the permanent forest. So you can just see the little wee mero or something around here, only about an inch high, right here, or 2 inches high. You know, they're the ones that are going to are benefiting from the shade and come back in 50 years. That's the sort of tree that you're going to find. The one tree I haven't seen is titoki.
Beautiful.
If you go and take bark off now, you won't get the bark off. But when the springtime comes and it starts to really grow, you can rip the bark off it, big strips of it, right from the ground up to the top. Come back 3 months later and you won't even know where you took the bark.
Off the hauhere, is it?
No, off the mako mako.
Oh, mako
Is that the one
mako.
you want me to get? The mako mako? Is it mako mako?
No, maka maka. The mako mako, you remember it because the edge of the leaf is like a shark's tooth.
Yeah.
And that's where the bellbird gets his name. Because there's kore mako, it's his name, and mako mako and kaiko mako are the two favourite feeding trees for the bellbird.
Really?
You know, so if you want your bellbird, you grow lots of mako.